Hello, everyone, and welcome back.
正正好，中国
What?
现在我有冰淇淋。
You. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pushing Buttons podcast. It's myself, Marks, and I just discovered Big Chilling.
I'm sorry. You have to say you have. Why did you say you just discovered being chilling?
Okay, so when we started off, we gave each other a subtitle, if you will, and he gave me just discovered Big Chilling, which is true. I just discovered it this week, and you are.
Yes, this is what you wrote for me. I don't know this part of the Big Chilling. I'll just say it again. 正正好，中国现在我有冰淇淋。
That was really good. Do you want me to give the context, or should you give the context here?
So I don't know how do I explain this? Like, so there's this guy named John Cena,
Yep.
and apparently he speaks Mandarin,
Fluently.
and he recorded this video that went viral. That is basically that is pretty much what I just said. It's much longer. He has like this whole thing. It's about how he has ice cream and he likes ice cream, but he goes into talking about Fast and Furious 9 and about how it's a great movie and it doesn't really make any sense. And also, it just the way that he says ice cream in Mandarin sounds like Bing Chillin'. So it became a whole meme, and Marks didn't know about this meme. By the way, this went viral last year. And he didn't know about it.
I was about to say it's an old meme. It's an old one.
And I rediscovered it because he didn't know about it. But I also found this song. It's called Bing Chillin' Into the Night. If you don't know what it is, please search it on YouTube. It's great. It's wonderful. Highly recommend it.
And he's been telling Valorant lobbies to go listen to it.
Okay, here's the thing though. I only all chatted search Bing Chillin' Into the Night because somebody else on the enemy team, I don't know who this person is, by the way, just like gave the first 2 lines of the script of the Bing Chillin' meme. And I was like, oh my God, this was yesterday, not like a while ago.
Big Chilling is coming back. This is what I'm hearing. You are witnessing it come back into fruition. It's back into the zeitgeist. It's a meme again.
Yeah.
Well, this is a
Bing
Slice of Life
Chillin'.
Esports podcast. If you couldn't have told by the first beginning, I can't believe that you opened by yelling the lyrics to Big Chilling, and both of us the titles as Big Chilling. We share one collective Bing Chilling brain cell. That's what I discovered.
Yeah. I thought about, I have ice cream in my freezer too. I thought about grabbing it, but then I realized I would have to put it back in the middle of the recording. Decided not to do that anyways.
Yeah. That was probably for it. But so this is going to be a pretty exciting episode. By the way, on this podcast, we talk about esports stuff, but also just kind of being in the esports production scene and just around things mostly related to Valorant. And speaking of Valorant, Eddie is departing.
Yeah, I am. I'm leaving.
Yeah. Would you like to tell the people why?
Yeah, so I'm leaving, and next week, and the following week, and the weeks afterwards, Marks is going to have a new host on the Pushing Buttons podcast because I won't be available to record because I will be away.
Yes, you were away. I don't have to censor it anymore, do I? Because at this point,
no, you don't have to censor it anymore. Also, I was just being difficul. I know exactly what you were trying to get me to say. I am going. Just being difficult.
Do this to me? We're working on a podcast together.
Sorry.
You know where I'm going with this.
I do know where you're going with it, and I actively chose to be difficult. But what Marks is trying to set me up for was I'm going to go to Brazil for VCT LOCK, the kickoff tournament for VCT 2023. I'm not going as an observer. That's what a lot of people know me as. I'm going as a team handler for the Americas. I'm not going to say which team I'm going with, but I'm when as a team handler, this will be my first gig as a team handler. I'm really excited and nervous at the same time, and that's why I'm doing this weird arm thing.
Thank you. That's for the audio listeners, honestly. But no, like, also too, you were telling me about like what being a team handler kind of is, and do you have any experience with like, I guess like player management stuff before going into this tournament at all, or is this going to be just like, all right, we know what we're doing, we're going to get in there, and it's going to be great?
Yeah. So let's talk about what a team handler kind of does first, because I've told you a little bit about it. Other people might not know too much about it, but as a team handler, my responsibilities are basically to be the liaison between the game developer, Riot Games, and their whole crew putting the tournament together, and the org or the team that I am going to be handling. I don't know.
Wow, it's like it's
just like, I know it's a pretty self-explanatory, but also not. So I'll like be taking a look at their schedules, making sure that they're on schedule, getting from place to place, communicating with Riot on where the team is at any given point, making sure that when they're on stage, for example, they're also in the correct positions, and taking care of some of their expensing for food and stuff. A lot of different things. Basically just like, I'm handling them.
Yes,
I don't know. I'm handling them. Like, I don't know. Yes. Like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. But while this is my first gig as a team handler specifically, and kind of in player management, the skills and responsibilities of a team handler aren't that different from working with, high profile clients for events or working with talent, being a stage runner and stuff. It's very similar. And I've had years of experience in event operations and running around. So I'm used to the chaos. I'm used to making sure like things are running on schedule. I'm used to pivoting if things do get off schedule, which does happen frequently. And does that, I feel like that answers the question. Yeah, this is just like, yes, but no.
Yes. No? Maybe so?
Yes, but no, because I haven't done this specific role, but I've done things that...
Adjacent.
Yes.
Similar? Yes.
That are similar, adjacent, a lot of transferable skills. It's like all the same things, just not in the esports context. Yeah.
So you should have a good handle on the team.
I hate you.
I was sitting on that one for so long. But actually, I just got reminded of something, because obviously you're going to be like, making sure that the players are getting to the right spots at the right time and like making sure they're good. When I was doing my master's in Montreal, on Friday morning, we would have a class and I would sit there and be like, damn, class is kind of dull. And so naturally, I would look outside the window. And what I would see every Friday morning was a teacher with a super extended leash with a child, like 10 children attached to the leash.
One of the
children.
Yeah. It's like there's a teacher in the front, and then it's a long rope with handles attached to the side of it, right? And all of the kids are holding it. So it's like they're in a line, but they're attached to a rope.
Yes.
Yeah.
Would you consider getting one for these players if they decide to wander off?
I have been told that, once again, I'm not going to say the team that I have, but I've been told that I have the golden retrievers of the VCT Americas.
That's really good, actually.
They're all going to be really good and good. And good.
One more time for the people in the back. What are they going to be?
Really good.
There we go. But yeah, I'm just saying, if push comes to shove, not the student leash, but the Valorant esports player leash could be enforced. I'm on board.
Actually, that would be really funny for socials content.
Whoever's going to use this idea, you're welcome. If you're looking for any marketing ideas, you know where to find us. That's not bad. But okay, no. This is super exciting. This is going to be the first like tier 1 event that you've ever worked, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
So like, obviously, like when you started out doing the Valorant thing, observing originally, and we kind of talked about how you got started in this whole production world, but like, was this ever something that you were like, one day I will be at the tier 1 top tournaments and seeing things and working for people. Was that ever like even on the radar at the beginning?
Why would it have been on the radar in the beginning? Well,
Some
I
people
guess
come in with that dream.
That is true. A lot of people do come in with that dream, but for me, no, because, you know, I was starting out in just community events because I was a community member, just an enjoyer of Valorant, and I didn't really think that far. I just wanted to do things that were fun, and doing things that were fun combined with, I think, being in the right place at the right time alongside my career prior to coming into esports, all of the skills and experiences that I've had beforehand. Mm-hmm. All of that just led to this by chance. Even, I think, even right before I was reached out to it too, I didn't even think, and this process have been the process of me being reached out to about it to actually going to the tournament, by the way, was I think maybe 3 or 4 months. So prior to having that conversation, I didn't actually think that I would get here so soon. I thought it was still going to be maybe another 2 years before I would be able to work a tier 1 international event, especially the one to a scale like Lock-In. There's 32 teams from all over the world coming in. I'm just like, I roasted you for saying this before about NSG Summer Champs. Do you remember what you said?
You've roasted me for a lot of things that I have said, so you're going to have to be a lot more specific.
I'm just happy to be here. I'm really
roast you about that. Yeah,
I did roast you about that. Also, I apologize for all of the things I've roasted you about. Almost all the things I've roasted you about. Some of them you deserved, but that's not what we're here to talk about.
Positivity, love
we'll
that.
talk about the happy to be here thing.
Yeah.
I am just happy to be here. I am surprised that I got to this point so early in, you know, being in the esports industry. And it was never really a goal because I didn't see it as something attainable. I was just trying to work in esports, like transition into working in esports. And a lot of good things happened.
Yeah. And can I ask you to like recall, like, well, when the moment you realize that, like, oh, like this is happening, I'm actually going to be going, what was that like for you? Because like you said, it wasn't initially like a goal or anything. Was it a nice, easy transition to like, cool, I'm going into Brazil? Was it like, oh my God, it's happening? Like, what was that kind of like?
I almost didn't take it.
Oh. Okay.
I almost didn't take it. I had the offer sent to me, or I guess, yeah, we'll say like the offer was sent to me. They had told me we'd like to have you on for the team for this, and I said, okay, when is the latest I can know you by? I can tell you by. Instead of saying yes, I would love to right away and stuff, right? And that is because I do have a full-time job. I have other commitments in life, and also the time frame for this tournament is really long. Like I could be there for 2 weeks. I could also be there for up to 4 weeks. So in my packing and my planning, I am planning for 4 weeks.
It's a lot of time.
And if I happen to be sent home earlier than that, because the team gets knocked out, then what happens, right? But it's a long time to be away from home. It's a long time to take time off from work, from my full-time job. And I had to check in with my team. And you know what's funny enough? The team that I had when I got this offer at Community Gaming is no longer my team now. Like my team lead who said, hey, you should go. You should definitely go. Don't say no to this. Just go. We'll figure it out. He's not my team lead anymore. He moved to another, like he's focusing on other things now. By the way, it was... He won't get mad at me for saying it. It was Ben from GLG, Great Lakes Gaming.
Yep.
We used to be coworkers. He used to be my team lead. And he said, yeah, go. And our boss, the next person up, is still at community gaming, but in a different role now. So now I have a new boss, and new boss came in and didn't have a choice except to be told.
Annie's going.
Except to be told, hey, Annie already has PTO for a month. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but checking, that process of checking with my teammates and deciding what I wanted to do with the apartment while I was gone. Is somebody going to take my room and sublease it? There's a lot of logistical things that I had to take into consideration before saying, yes, I would love to come to Brazil and be a part of your team. And once I went through that checklist of everything, okay, I've checked it out with everybody, I can finally take
your
it.
checklists.
I do. I have a checklist right here. On my sticky note. I have another checklist from yesterday too.
This is so on brand.
After I got my checklist done and stuff, and I told them, I emailed and I said I would love to be a part of this team and go to Brazil. I was like, holy heck, I'm going to Brazil.
Yep.
And then I got to be really excited, woo, yeah, I'm going to Brazil. This is my first tournament, tier 1 tournament that I'm traveling internationally for. I'm flailing my arms around, by the way.
It looks like synchronized swimming.
But, I didn't get as excited about this opportunity as I feel a lot of other people would have. I kept it very low key, and even talking to my friends IRL about it, I'll say, oh, I'm going on a business trip next week. Can I drop something off at your house because I have something for you? Or in casual conversations, they'll ask me, oh, where are you going? Are you going down to LA again? And I'll be like, no, I'm going to Brazil. And I got yelled at by my friend, one of my best friends, because she's like, you're going to Brazil and you didn't tell anybody? You've just been telling us you're going on a business trip. Normally, we just assumed you were going to California because that's where you normally go. And I was like, yeah. But I mean, it's for work. So
yeah.
I think that's something that esports has. One of the ways that I view esports, I guess, is with less of a, this is so exciting, yay, woo, esports, so wow, esports kind of mood.
Yep.
And more of, this is really exciting and fun, but this is also my work. So
yes, yeah,
I'm really excited to go on an international trip, but it's also for work. So I feel like I can only be excited to a certain extent.
Yeah. Honestly, I like that mentality that you're bringing into it, because I think that while yes, it is really cool that you are going to a tier 1 tournament, at the same time you need to make sure that the first priority of what you are doing there is your job. You're not, because if you mess that up, then it's all downhill from there. Yeah. But it is really easy to get kind of swept up in the oh my god, Brazil tournament, oh my god, I'm working for it. And it is really good to hear that you're okay, yes, but also it is still work and I need to make sure that I'm focused on it. So, you're gonna handle that team great, is what I'm hearing.
I'm gonna handle the team. I have flashcards to learn their real person name to their gamer tag too, because I realized I don't know your real names. But I don't want to run around calling them by their gamer tag. Unless they want me to, I will. But I feel like that's a little weird. So, which, by the way, let me know in advance if you would like to be called by your gamer tag or your real name if we ever meet IRL. It's weird because I met somebody at T-Val that introduced themselves to me, I think by their name, their real person name. And I was like, oh yeah, hi, it's nice to meet you. And they were like, they paused for a bit and they're like, my gamer tag is this. And I was like, oh shit, hi. It's nice to meet you. I know who you are. It was
just
really
one of the
awkward.
difficulties about meeting IRL.
One of the fun nuances of working in esports is that you get to know people by two names.
Okay, so like now that you are going to this like top tier tournament and stuff like that, I thought it would be kind of cool to poke your brain a little bit to try and take in just how much like Valorant has impacted your life, because obviously like when you started doing production and stuff like that, like you said, it wasn't just like, oh yes, top tier tournament, I'm going for it. It's more of like I enjoy this thing, I enjoy this community, I kind of want to do it. Did you ever expect esports to just take over every part of your life?
No, absolutely not. Not even a single bit. I mean, when I started observing, it wasn't even for esports. It was for community in-houses, like for 10-mans. So doing tournaments wasn't on my mind until somebody asked me, hey, do you want to observe for this tournament? And I said, okay, sounds fun. And then I did it and it was really fun. And then I started branching out into other things too, right? I started doing like work as a producer, as a tech producer. And then I took my other skills like in marketing and in event operations. And I got to do a bunch of other things in esports too. And I'm like doing this team handler gig now, and it's just expanded into a lot. But once again, like it just all happened. I never planned for it to get this way. It was like never the goal. And it's strange how life takes you into loops and circles like this, because it really was just a game that I enjoyed. And then things just happened. And it was at a good point, honestly, too, because I was trying to get out of my, I wasn't trying to leave my nonprofit job. I was trying to leave the nonprofit industry because that's where I was at the time. And I felt like I've done enough nonprofit the past few years to like just move into a new thing now. Yeah.
Yeah. And I do want to correct a little bit. It's one of the things that you said where it just happened. I think it's a better explanation that like things happened over time. Like you were like adding a little piece in and then eventually it just kind of like eclipsed. Am I describing that correctly? Because when you say like it just happened, it sounds like, and then boom, Anniepoo take over the world in esports.
Well, okay, yeah, it did. Like okay, fair. That is a fair point. It did not just happen overnight. It happened over time, but it still happened in a very rapid manner compared to all of the other things in my life, right? And I think to what the average person might experience too. Like, for example, you are in high school and you're doing different career explorations and you find out like, oh, doing scientific research seems really cool. I want to do plant research. I want to work with GMOs and stuff. And you learn more and you might go to college and you might slowly work your way towards that position as a researcher for GMOs. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. But
I was about to say this is a good path for botany if you're into that.
Things like that can happen over, like you can just like discover this new thing and decide, oh, I want to do this. And it's like, it feels like really quick, like overnight, but you still have to work towards it. For me, it was also, I discovered this new thing and I worked towards it, but it didn't take me years to achieve. It took me a year to achieve, or less than a year.
Fastest growing industry, that's what they'll tell you.
That is what they'll tell you. Fastest growing industry. Whether that is true, I will not make a statement on. But it did only take me a few months to make that switch, which was much faster than I had anticipated it for it to be. Because once I started observing and really enjoying observing for tournaments, I had decided I want to use observing as a way to get additional pocket money and to make new connections in esports, which I achieved both of those things. I networked and I got extra money.
Yeah.
But those, I didn't think having those connections would result in being able to do things like go to VCT LOCK or to get my full-time position at community gaming. I didn't expect for it to move so quickly. I thought like where I am right now, working full-time in esports and being able to do large tier 1 international tournaments would take me another 2 years to get here. It all happened very fast, and I don't know that this is the average pathway for someone in this industry, but I am very proud of where I got in the short amount of time that I've been around.
Yeah. And like, I mean, like, even speaking from my own perspective, like when I started doing esportsy type of stuff, you know, I was in a very similar camp to what you were thinking you were doing, where it was just like, oh, like, this is fun. Sure, like, I thought it would have been cool to, at some point in my career, be able to make it up to, like, a tier 2 event, but I was like, yeah, good luck with that one, buddy. We'll see you in, like, 6 years or something like that, because, you know, it's, you start from a very, like, okay, this is something that I enjoy doing, and I just want to keep on doing it. And I guess, like, obviously, like, my path is very different than yours, because you now full-time work in esports. For me, it was just like, it was interesting to see, just like, as I got like more and more and more and more, how much of my life was just kind of being taken over by esports. That kind of sounds like a negative connotation. I don't mean it to come off as like a negative connotation, but it's kind of like before, you know, I had to think about like, okay, if I'm working here, okay, like, I got like 20% of my energy I can invest into esports, because like, yeah, I'm just doing community tournaments. Whenever I'm free, I can hop in and it'll be great. But then, like, as I started to get more and more and more and more, then it started to take up a lot more of my time. It took up a lot more of my attention and just energy as well. Just trying to get somewhere, and, you know, because I enjoy doing it, pushing it to be a little bit more. And so, while I don't think that, like, I have flown over and immersed myself in the esports dunk tank, kind of like it's got to happen for you.
It's a weird analogy, but okay.
But it's kind of funny, because like, you don't expect just how much you were going to get into things, and it just kind of happened, like one thing after another. You know, you accept this thing or you accept this thing, then you invest more time into it, until the next thing you know, it's like, this is a big part of my life. For you, an even bigger part of your life. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm thinking, because I mean, it's a big part of my life because it's my work, right? And I've said this a bit earlier. I am really excited and grateful and really happy doing all of these things, but at the end of the day, it's work.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
But I'm also going to challenge that, because there are times when we are talking, just like off recordings or off streams or whatever, and you're. I
don't know what you're talking about. We're business partners. We don't talk outside of business stuff.
Dang, you get a tier 1 tournament, and suddenly I'm just a business partner. This is how it goes, huh? This is how it goes.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm sorry.
It's okay. You've moved on. It's fair.
I'm sorry. You know what? Just get better.
Wow. Damn.
And anyways, that is why tonight. I will not be on the next episode of Pushing Buttons podcast. Marks will be bringing on a new co-host.
That sounds so bad for anybody who went on now, because you're just saying that you were above us.
I'm joking. Disclaimer, I'm joking. I'm joking. Okay, I'm sorry. I was interrupting you. I was being difficult again. That's the real reason why I'm going to be gone. It's because he's tired of me. I've done nothing but be difficult this entire time.
Well, I won't deny that, but no. What I was going to say is, we've joked about how, what do you call it? Like, before esports, you know, like what your life was like. And you would tell me like, oh yeah, like some of the people we would have. What were some of the stuff that you guys used to do?
Okay, so this was pre-pandemic. This was like pre-esports Annie. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say how old I am, but
What was that dramatic sigh?
in my early 20s,
Okay.
I went to the office.
Yes. Wow.
And
Crazy.
in the mornings, part of my routine, Starbucks cold brew, specifically during the fall, pumpkin cream cold brew. I am not sponsored by Starbucks. I just love that drink that much. And Marks knows, and I told him to get it. I tell everybody to get it. There was a point when I was streaming and I actually had a community. Everybody knew that I love the pumpkin cream cold brew, and they all went to get it too. And they were all like, oh my God. And I still to this day have some of my community members message me on Instagram photos of their pumpkin cream cold brew in the fall. But this is not about pumpkin cream cold brew. This is about...
Sorry, continue.
Please try that drink when it comes back in the fall. I promise you'll love it. Pumpkin cream cold brew. I also there's an app. We're also not sponsored by CoStar, but there's an app called CoStar where you can put in your birthday and your time of birth, and it will give you your astrology chart, and you can add other people as friends, and you can see your compatibility with them and everything. And every single day, CoStar will send you, if you opt in, send you a notification that will tell you a little bit about what your day is like, which, by the way, I don't know if it's still like this because I don't have CoStar notifications on anymore, but they used to be... Really, I got roasted by this app every single day. It would send something, my daily inspiration quotes would be like, oh, don't be alone today. Surround yourself with positive individuals. And it's like, why are you sending it to me today specifically? Are you trying to say that I have no friends or something? Or it would be like, you need to be more honest with yourself is another one. And I was like, what does this mean? Excuse me?
You wake up in the morning, first thing you look at, you need to be more honest with yourself.
No, real. Actually. And I did this with all of my coworkers too. We also had a bachelor bracket at the office. What else did we do? Oh yeah, we had happy hours. And we did board games at these happy hours and stuff.
Did you like charcuterie boards with wine and cheese?
I do that now. And I did that before too. So, yeah.
What I was trying to get at, though, was I feel like that lifestyle, if you will excuse my language, that basic lifestyle that you kind of subscribed to before.
I'm so sorry. I used to be a basic bitch. Okay? I know what you're getting at here. Yeah. Well, no. Listen, once a basic bitch, always a basic bitch. I still do all of those things, just in a different context.
Really?
I still do charcuterie boards with my friends. You still have a bachelor bracket? Oh, no, we don't have a bachelor bracket at community gaming. Not that I know of. If any of my coworkers are listening to this, why haven't you invited me to your bachelor bracket?
To all of the coworkers listening to this, I'm so sorry that you are now going to have to make a bachelor bracket for Annie. But... I'm sorry. I have a distracting thought that I think I would like to talk about on the podcast. Sure. This is not related to esports. It could be. Do you know about MILF Manor? No, you don't. Know about that.
Oh, you do know about MILF Manor? I saw a
commercial for it. I'm like, this doesn't seem like a good idea.
Okay, we're not sponsored by MILF Manor, by the way. Wait, we're not sponsored at all.
Should we make a Pushing Buttons podcast MILF Manor bracket?
No, I don't want to watch this show. Okay. If we make a bracket, I have to watch the show. So MILF Manor is a problematic show. All right.
That's one way to describe it.
It's a dating show that features a bunch of MILFs. I'm not going to say what MILF stands. If you don't know what MILF stands for, you can Google that yourself. Yeah. But basically all these cougars, these older women, are sent to this manor in Mexico to find love, right? And then I don't know what the equivalent of a MILF date, the younger guy, I don't know what they're called, but they also have these younger guys that come to the manor too, and that's their dating pool. But the twist is the guys are, I'm sorry, I'm laughing because this is supposed to be an esports podcast.
No, I want to twist them in.
The guys are all their sons. So all of the MILFs are women who have had a son, and their son comes to the manor and are part of the dating pool. So the MILFs are dating each other's sons. Well, hopefully.
I mean, I guess that's the point of the show, but
It's weird. Anyways,
very weird.
The Bachelor came up, and I started thinking about trash TV, and
Yeah.
MILF Manor has been a conversation point for a lot of my friend groups recently.
And now, yeah, esports themed podcast. That's what we are.
Yeah,
MILF Manor segments. We should make that a recurring segment on our show.
MILF Manor recap.
Yeah.
I'm gonna veto that. Back to your regularly
scheduled.
yeah.
But what I was trying to say was just like it is kind of crazy just even thinking about like my life as well, because quite frankly, before I really got into esports, like I was always kind of into video games, but I never really like considered it to be a large part of my life just outside of like casually playing with friends. And now it's like technically with esports, it's like, oh my goodness, this is a big part of it. And just kind of like there are times where like I look back to like when I was a student, not a basic office worker like you, but when I was just a basic student. And it was just like, it's so different. And it is crazy to see even me who like, you know, esports is not my entire life, how much it's kind of like changed my life individually. Mm-hmm. So
in what ways?
I don't know. Just like first of all, I think like there is a little, what's the best way to describe this? There's a little bit of like pride, but also self-confidence that comes from doing this. And I don't mean in a like, aha, look at me, I am better than you little plebs or anything like that. Like,
is that how you speak to your friends?
Yes, exactly. No, but it's just like, it was something just for me, and to have that for myself was a very like, oh, like this is a really nice thing that I can be proud that I am doing this in. And it helped my own self-confidence because I think like, especially too in just the traditional working route that I went, right? Like you get into the office job and then a lot of my friends are just like, well, you know, you work and then you just like hang out with your buddies afterwards. You join a bunch of intramural leagues.
Watch MILF Mansion?
You have MILF Manor, I thought, not MILF Mansion.
I screwed up, but we didn't need to call that out.
Yeah. Listen, we don't screw up when it comes to MILF Manor. But it like that is their life. Like it's just like it's the work and then it's the play. But this is something that is different, and I take a lot of pride in that because I pursued something that was a little bit different. And like, first of all, like look at where it's got me. But at the same time, like it's a fun conversation topic to just have for myself because, you know, I mean, if you are a working adult, you're going to relate to this. You can only talk about the weather so often before you're like, every time we talk, we're just talking about the weather.
It depends. I mean, I don't know. People in Seattle love talking about the weather, and it's weird because the weather is the same all the time. It's always overcast. Why do we keep talking about the weather? But yeah, I agree. The same topic, and you only run through basic, like surface level conversation points so much until you decide, I'm not sure if I really enjoy talking to this person. I'm running out of things to talk about. This is the furthest we can go. But yeah.
Yeah. And even just like being a part of the esports scene and stuff like that, right? Like it's just like after work, you know, I'm not talking about coworkers anymore. A lot of my friends joke about like, haha, it's so hard to make friends outside of work now. And half the time I'm like, is this a cry for help? I don't know. But you know, it's like, whereas like, you know, when I'm done working or whatever, I can just like hop online with production people or whatever, you know, people I've met through the community. And it's just like, oh, okay. Like you just like chat with people. And it's like, you know, that there's always, you've expanded your social network and community in that way. Yeah. And it like, I would be lying even though I work that normie lifestyle all the time. But like esports is a huge part of my life. And I never expected it to ever be this big a portion of my life as it is. Why are you just smiling? I said something and then you were holding in a laugh earlier and I'm like, should I call it out? I don't know. I'll finish my point and then I'll call it out. I'm
laughing at the thought. I'm reminiscing on who you used to be around this time last year, because the person which about a year ago is when we actually started becoming friends and having conversations. This was also when Marks started sending me dentist photos. That's how I would say that was the turning point in our friendship, is when you started sending me photos of yourself at the dentist.
You just cold DM'd me. You're like, bro, don't you have a job? Why are you on Twitter all the time? And so then I sent you a photo of the dentist because I was at the dentist, because I took the day off to go to the dentist.
Yeah.
Like, anyways.
Yes. I was doing myself a concern. I was like, why is he doing this? But like, now I'm the one that's addicted to Twitter. Plot twist. But no, I feel like the person that you were a year ago, the Marks that I met, was just kind of floating by. You were just kind of okay with this being like a hobby. This is something that I did. Like, casting is something that I do when it just happens. Like when I see a community tournament that I do. You were still doing a lot of free gigs at the time.
Yeah.
And it is really amazing to see how you've changed as a person in the short amount of time that I've known you.
Oh, that is a... I'm thinking back and like, yeah, you're right. It wasn't like, I don't think that I took it seriously either, probably until about the summertime of last year, which is like, it's so wild to just think like during that point in time, and because esports is the fastest growing industry out there, like how crazy, I guess, my own trajectory kind of flew by just in like half a year's time, to be completely honest with you. So, wow, that's kind of, whoa. That's like,
oh no, I've sent him into an existential crisis.
I'm getting the notifications
mid-recording
from CoStar right now. I need to do some self-reflection.
Do you have CoStar installed?
I did at one point, because some of my friends at my master's program, it was very simple. I wasn't kidding when I said I was kind of a basic student as well. Like, like, oh, let's study at cafes. Let's get like, like, ooh, all that type of stuff. Yeah. I also, too, did a bunch of like charcuterie boards and like wine and cheese pairings and shit like that.
I thought you were going to say something else.
What? Had a bachelor bracket?
No, I thought you were going to say, I don't know, I drank a lot. And like, I think it's because I was about to ask you, did you also do a lot of like, did you have bars around your university that did like, okay, well, for me, people can find out what university I went to if they searched. But there's a bar next to my university that does something called Wells Wednesdays. And so they do like $1 or $2 well drinks. Like very cheap alcohol. And that was like that was the thing to do if you were a basic student. So I was gonna ask, like, did you do that kind of stuff? You don't have to. Oh no, you look guilty. You don't have to answer that. We could move on. Anyways,
I'll give a brief answer. This is my undergrad, not my master's. Very important differentiation.
When I did my master's, how old are you?
Can you didn't, why are you doing, I am 27. I am okay saying that. But that's irrelevant to this.
Holy shit, you're old.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm acting. I knew.
I know you know. There was a different place to go every single weekday of the week, and then also to the weekend. So if you wanted a drink special to like get cheap beer or cheap like mixers or stuff like that, you knew which bar to go to depending on what day of the week it was. And I partook because I lived really close to the bars. Yeah. At first I did. And then I weaned off of it because I started taking educational.
You weaned off of it? That's the word you're going to use?
Yeah, what's wrong with that word?
I don't know. I feel like that's the word people use when like you wean a baby off of their mother's milk. You sound like you're a recovering alcoholic or something.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's not a good analogy in this case. But yes, I did live the basic student lifestyle a little bit as well. I mean,
I'm learning so much about you today.
Are you? I feel like you do half this stuff already.
I wasn't.
You just forgot it. As we've established, you
no.
I'm kidding. We're not bringing that up again. But okay, I know this is a very like hard thing to kind of conceptualize as well. But like moving forwards, right? I mean, you look at Valorant. The esports scene is exploding this year. They're making a whole bunch of different things just to kind of promote it. And you've got so many. I'm going to be honest with you. I even struggle sometimes to understand what the differences in all the leagues are going on. But there's just so much happening here. Like, where do you think your life with, I guess, like esports or Valorant in general, like, where is it going to go into the future? Do you have any inclination at all?
It's a great question.
I know.
No.
Okay.
I do not.
Yeah. I had a feeling that was the case.
Yeah, because I told you.
That too.
Yeah. But
you know what I mean? The question, I'm like, I'm sure this is how it's going to go, but it's worth talking about.
Yeah, well, I mean, for Valorant specifically, this is the first year of franchising, right?
Yeah.
And Valorant itself is a very new esport too, in comparison to, CSGO, and to comparison to basically literally anything else. So, we're going to see how that goes, Mm-hmm. I don't have my bets placed on anything, but I mean, I am just going to have to change with how the scene changes, right? So thinking about how am I going to grow with esports, it's just kind of when I get there, I will figure it out. So, I'm going to do my thing for this upcoming tournament. I'm going to go do my thing to finish out in the first quarter of 2023. And as we get closer to quarter two, I'm going to figure out quarter two. And then we just keep trudging forward. Okay. Like I know a lot of people are concerned about layoffs, like to just, get serious and real here. Layoffs, a recession, sponsors pulling out of tournaments and esports because there's just not money there. We don't know what it's going to look like. This might be a very slow year for esports. It might pick back up in the fall. We don't know yet. We'll just have to figure it out as the further we go. And I've always considered one of my own strengths to be a very adaptable person. So, I mean, I've already been thinking about what happens if I don't get a lot of freelancer work. Well, I had already made the decision late last year, that I wanted to focus a lot into my full-time work and develop my skills as a marketing professional. So that was already on my docket of things to do. And I also had thought about, getting back into volunteer work and doing more grassroots community events, the smaller events that we talked about in a previous episode. So even if things are not blooming, I'm still going to be involved in esports somehow. Just don't know what that looks like yet. We'll figure it out when we get there.
Yeah, and that's honestly a really good answer. For myself, I think pretty much along the same lines. I don't know where esports is going to go. And, I think that, bringing up the bigger picture type of stuff is actually very important. I think when don't get me wrong, it's always good to have goals, always good to have dreams as to aspirations to work towards, because that kind of keeps you motivated, right? But at the same time, especially with how fast things change in esports, being realistic about things is going to be the biggest thing in order to, keep yourself in esports, but not losing your mind over things, because fastest growing industry, but also I think that also speaks just to the nature of how things can just kind of happen. And when they do just happen, it's and there you go. That's how that wrapped up. And you're like, okay, well, I guess that's kind of it. What do I do now? And so, breaking it down into a little bit more, kind of like what you said, thinking about what's next for me, but also to being realistic about, as things kind of change. Because I mean, for myself, right? With a lot of how the industry currently looks right now, it could look completely different later on down the line. But I have to understand that, if I'm expecting to be paid top tier caster all the time, I'm probably just not going to get work. And if that's the case, it's oh, well, I need to be able to make sure that I'm being realistic with what's going on in the scene, what level of involvement I want to be doing, and then make sure that I am adapting so that I'm still getting what I want out of esports, in addition to continuing to be in all of it. So adaptability and realism. That's kind of the two key points that I wanted to pull away from this question in the first place, which is why I asked it. And even when you gave your answer, I'm like, I'm pretty sure we're going to get into this discussion. So I'm very happy with where we ended.
Okay, I'm glad. I have fulfilled his expectations for once in my life. Everybody cheer for me.
What? Excuse
I am
me.
not a disappointment.
This makes me sound like a bad parent or something.
Well, no, it's because I was being fairly difficult for the first 2/3 of this recording. So I'm glad that I could end with where you were hoping for it to go.
Yes. And with that, then I think that pretty much brings us to the end of this episode. Man, you're going to be gone. What are we going to do? What am I going to do? Panic?
I don't know.
I'm good at panicking.
Just, like, do what you normally do. I don't know.
What does that even mean? Do what I normally do.
Do what you normally do. I don't know. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Just
wow.
don't.
Thanks for the words of encouragement.
Just don't use MS Paint for the overlays, please.
I thought you were going to tell me not to record at 3 a.m. like you did. But
no, I'm a little concerned. I just don't do it. I saw he gave me a mock-up of the new overlay that he wants to use.
Yeah, you're right.
Don't use that.
What's wrong with that?
You can post it on you can post it on socials. Don't actually use it on the video. Please.
I think it'd be really funny though.
No.
Oh man. Well, we will miss you here on Pushing Buttons. Hang on. Wait. No. Order. I'm falling to pieces. I'm so nervous because you're going to be gone after this and I'm going to be like, what do I do? But yes, we will miss you here on the Pushing Buttons podcast. Do you have any final thoughts for us?
Sorry, I forgot my normal line. I'm falling apart.
So well. What an exit!
I'm falling apart. My name is Anniepoo, and I am no longer LFT.
This is so sad. You're not even going to explain what LFT stands for anymore. It's over.
I'm no longer LFT.
Oh,
and
man.
Maybe somebody else will be LFT for you in the future.
There you go. Well, you're only going to be gone for 2 episodes. Let's stop trying to build it up a little too much. I just flare dramatic. But yeah, because Eddie's going to be away in Brazil, then we're going to have some other stuff planned for the next couple of weeks. You're just going to have to strap in and see where we go with things. Or I guess where I go with things. Am I going to use MS Paint for the overlays? It's entirely possible. Eddie can't say no to that because I'm going to be in Brazil. I have all the power now. But that is going to do it for this episode of the Pushing Buttons podcast. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe, follow, all of that podcasting type of stuff. If you leave us a review on the podcasting platform, that also helps out quite a bit. I just remembered that I had homework when Annie went to Brazil to build community on Twitter. I don't know what I'm going to do for that. We're going to figure that out as well. I don't like all of the control that I am getting, and I am terrified right now as well. But we'll figure that out. So make sure to follow us on Twitter at PushButtonsPod. That is the Twitter handle there. And also, too, you can keep up with the journey, I guess, of me and then also Anniepoo in Brazil. Yeah, what's up?
I do have a different thought.
What is your different thought?
I had a guest appearance on another podcast that I forgot to mention.
You should mention that.
I had a guest appearance on They Play Games podcast. I'm pretty sure the handle is at They Play Games on Twitter. It is a space for non-binary and gender non-conforming individuals to talk about how they exist in the space and the different things. Just go listen to it.
You're so close. You're so close. I'll make sure to include all of that in the description on all of the different platforms and stuff like that. So yeah, go check them out on Twitter because you have a guest appearance. And so even though Annie is departing the Pushing Buttons podcast for 2 weeks, 2 episodes, I just realized that we release bi-weekly again. You can go catch a little bit of Anniepoo content on that side. So that just about does it. Thanks so much for tuning in. My name is Marks. That was Anniepoo, soon to be not Anniepoo. Sadness. And
But I'm still gonna be Anniepoo.
well, not on the Pushing Buttons podcast.
Okay, anyways, bye.
Okay, bye everyone. Catch you next time.